Good morning, it's Suzanne here with our Wednesday afternoon training class for Mark's Group Live. And today's topic is. I always forget to do that too. One of these days I'll get it right. So today's topic is extensions and plugins. So we're going to look at a couple different options for enhancing your Zoho CRM with extensions and plugins, and that will include other Zoho applications. It will include some specific Google plugins and Microsoft plugins. So we'll get started in just a minute. Sorry. So it's one of those days. Just a quick explanation of the format here if you're new to attending an online class. I want to draw your attention to the chat window to the right side of your screen. This is how we communicate. I can't hear your voice, so if you have questions to ask, please type them in the chat window, and I will do my best to answer them as soon as possible. And we'll also address any additional questions at the end of class if there are any remaining. Okay, so let's get started with our plugins. Going to switch to my screen. So we are looking at our Zoho CRM training account, and we're in the home screen. So for the extensions and plugins, where you find those is what Zoho calls the marketplace. And that to get there, the first step is to click the setup icon in the upper right hand corner. And then we're here in the marketplace. So you can pop in to see all. And we see, there's some featured ones across the top, and there's just a whole bunch listed. You can filter them with categories, different editions, different prices, ratings, and there's also a search window here. So if you're looking for something specific, you can take advantage of filtering with these filtering options, or if you know the name of it or know the category, whatever, you can use the search feature. So that's all of them. And up across the top here, we see the all extensions. Then I can click and see what extensions I have installed, and then if there's any updates that need to be handled. So that's our menus across the top. And let's dive into some of our specific extension categories that we have here. So let's first go into Zoho. And this is going to list all the different Zoho applications that plug into Zoho CRM. So you can see some of them say manage, which means that they are already set up. Some say set up now, which is an indication that they're not set up. And then some say continue. And I think that indicates that they're not, the configuration or the setup is not quite finished. So to connect your CRM with any of these other external Zoho applications, we just click the button. If it's one that's already been established, that's the way you can disconnect it or disable it. If it has not been connected, a lot of times it's just simply an enable button and everything happens behind the scenes. It's pretty turnkey. So those are our Zoho plugins and our Zoho extensions or plugins. And I do want to mention that we have another class that actually reviews at a high level all of these Zoho, other Zoho applications outside of CRM. So if you're interested in learning more about these Zoho applications, please look for that class on the calendar and tune in. Or you can also pull up an archived version of a class for that one. All right, let's look at Google. So our Google, which this has already been set up. So if you haven't set up, there'll be a big green button that says Get Started, and you click that, and it's a pretty nice little wizard that walks you through putting your Google credentials in and getting that connection established. So and then you have your Google Contacts, then you have your Google Calendar integration. So here the calendar needs to be authenticated. Oh, I do have this. Let's see if I remember the password. No. All right, I have one more to try. There we go. And now it's asking for you to provide consent that it can connect, and you say allow. And then your Google Calendar is now connected. And if you have more than one calendar in your Google Calendar, you can select which one that you want to sync. And then you can select your sync options, either a two-way sync, a one-way sync where you're pushing from the calendar or from Zoho to Google, or you're pushing from Google to Zoho. So we'll set this up as one-way Zoho to Google and save. Okay. And then also if you're using Google Ads, you can connect that here. And again, that's an example of what the Get Started button looks like. So you get started there, and you put in your credentials. And then, and again, it's a pretty straightforward wizard to walk through that, just like we saw with the calendar. And then I want to talk a little bit about this Chrome extension for Gmail. So I'm currently using Safari, the Safari browser. So this is specific, this Chrome extension is specific to Chrome. So I'm going to switch over. I'm going to drag my Chrome setup here and show you what this Chrome extension for Gmail looks like. So in my Gmail, here's the Chrome extension widget loaded in. So if I click on a contact, there we go. So if I click on a contact, I click on an email, this is going to show me over here if they're already in my system. So this person already is in my system and they're a contact. So I have access to their record. So this is actually pulling Zoho CRM information and displaying it for me. So I've got a summary. I can add notes right here to my CRM. I can look to see what deals I have associated with this contact, what activities, any campaigns. So it's a really nice little plugin integration for Gmail. If I click on somebody that's not in my system, let me find somebody that's not in my system. Sorry, I should have looked at this beforehand. Let's try this. Okay. So for this person is not in my system. So it's coming up at the top saying add lead or contact. So I can choose if I want to add them as a lead or a contact by clicking here or here. And it took its best guess based on the content of the email to pre-fill all of the fields that we could populate. So it's always good practice to review and see how well they did. And then you can click the add lead button. And once you do that, then they're in the system, and then you can open their record and further edit and add notes and things like that right from your Gmail account. So that's a really nice little plugin if you prefer working in Gmail, and then you've got your CRM widget off to the side. Okay, and you can display, open or close it just with this arrow. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So to display it, you have this little widget up here, and then to close it down, you have this icon over here. Excuse me. Okay, so let's bring this off. And I want to go back to our training account. And let's look at Microsoft. So the big thing for Microsoft really is that most people use is the Outlook plugin. And the Outlook plugin is an application or plugin that you can use that syncs up your Outlook client to your Zoho CRM. So to get started, so mine is actually already set up. This is already, I guess this has already been set up. This is we're not looking at my account. So this has already been set up. So that's why it says the plugin status is active for your account. But if it's not, then the first step is to choose your Microsoft Outlook version. So you have these three choices. And I'm going to walk through the Mac configuration since that's what I have on my system. And I will make it a point the next time I teach this class to teach it from a PC so that I can demonstrate the Outlook plugin on a PC. So you just choose Microsoft Outlook, which version you use, and then hit the download button. It comes into your downloads, you open it, and then run the file that's been downloaded. It is important that you close down your Outlook before you take those steps. So shut down your Outlook first, and then download and install it. And once it's installed, then you can open your Outlook. And I have Outlook opened over here, so I'm just going to show you from a Mac from a Mac what it looks like and how to configure it. So with using Outlook in a Mac, you can get to your Zoho configurations and settings with this subtle little Z up here in this top menu bar. So if I go there, I can do a manual sync on my contacts, tasks, events. I can choose an email and then choose to add that email down to my CRM. And then I can also log out from here. But we're going to pop into settings, and we're going to look at our options for how to configure the Outlook plugin for a Mac. So the first thing you do is there's three things that we need to configure: contacts, tasks, and calendar. So you can choose to sync one, two, or all three of these. You don't have to sync them all. So the first step in each one is choosing the folder in Outlook that you want to sync for your contacts. So I have this set up that it is synced to my Zoho folder. And then if I wanted to change that, I click change, and I can choose between folders. So if you wanted to only do a subset of your contacts to sync to your CRM, you can create another folder in your Outlook and then sync to that instead of syncing to the whole address book. And so for contacts to sync from CRM up to your Outlook, you can choose between all of the contacts or just the ones that belong to you. And if there's ever a conflict between two contacts in the Outlook and the CRM, you choose which data is truth. So if you work more in your Outlook and not so much in Zoho, then you would want to pick Outlook wins. And what that means, like say there's two conflicting phone numbers in the record for a particular contact. So there's a phone number in CRM, and then there's a different phone number in Outlook. And what this means is that as it's syncing, it will pick the phone number in Outlook. If you leave it as Zoho wins, it will pick the phone number in Zoho. Okay, and then it's just showing you that which Zoho account that you're logged into down here. Okay, so very simple settings. And then same thing for tasks. You choose a folder, you choose which tasks you want to sync, and you choose your conflict resolution, and same thing for calendar. You choose all of those. The configuration settings are actually very simple and straightforward for Mac. They're a little more convoluted for a PC. Not horribly, but there's a little more to it than what this looks like. So then I click OK. And so everything is set to automatically sync. I can manually sync using these buttons, and I can manually choose to add an email and push that down to Zoho CRM by using that button. And then again, you can log out. Okay, so that is the Outlook plugin for Mac. Just in case anybody has a question, I'll leave that open. Okay. So let's go into the marketplace, and let's look at some of these others. So let's go ahead and see some of the categories. So if I'm looking specifically for some kind of financial plugin, let's say I'm looking for a QuickBooks integration, I can choose finance and kind of browse and see what's available to me. I can also type in here and I get my choices and I can choose one. Okay, so let's go back to all. So that's how that works. And then again, if you don't want to pay for anything, you just want to look for all the free ones, or again, just browse and see what's out there. So all categories, probably it's a good idea to set your Zoho edition, and maybe you just want to look like what good ones are out there, and choose the 5-star, and then just browse through and see what we got. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the marketplace. Now let's talk about. Actually, I'm sorry. I want to show you one thing: texting. So you can actually set up your Zoho CRM such that you can automatically. You can set up workflow and send emails automatically based on certain conditions and triggers. So you can actually set that up so that it sends texts instead of emails automatically if you integrate a texting service. So here are a couple of the ones that are available as plugins. So SMS Magic is the one that's most recommended. So if you want to have that capability to be able to send texts with your Zoho CRM, then the first thing you need to do is create an SMS account with a third-party vendor. So again, like SMS Magic, SMS Global, any of these would be good choice. So you go out and you create your account, and then you come in here and you install the plugin, and you'll have to put your credentials in for your texting account. So so while the plugin is free, you will most likely pay a subscription fee for the texting service. Excuse me. Click install, and again, it's very it walks you through it. Well, let's just go ahead and click it and see what we got. So there's a consent, and then you install it, and then you'll have to again log into your texting account credentials. And since we don't have one, I'm not going to take that step, but that'll get you started down the right path. So that's how we can do that and set that up. I'm trying to think of any other good extensions in the marketplace to demonstrate before I move into channels. But if I think of anything, I'll circle back around. But I think those are really the key, like just integrating with a third-party app like QuickBooks or again Zoho apps, or we walk through the Google and the Microsoft. So let's go ahead and go into channels now, and I want to talk about email integration and telephone integration. So I'm going to click on email, and I have a Gmail IMAP integration set up. So when I click on email, it comes up and shows me my my settings already. So at this point, I can deactivate it so that I can set something else up, or I can edit and make changes to what I currently have. So if I didn't have this set up already, I'm just trying to think if there's a way I can demonstrate that. When you click on email, you'll just have that big green get started button. And you click get started, and it will, you can choose from a couple um, mail servers that they've already got set up. So you click a button, you enter in your credentials, and you're good to go. With so Gmail is one of those. If you have Gmail, you can click on Gmail, you put in your credentials, and it has all of this information already stored. So the port number, the server name, you don't have to know all of that. It will fill that for you. If you don't have one of those, then there's an other email over here. You click that button, and then you have to enter in not only your credentials, your user or your email address and your password, but then you have to enter in the server name, the port numbers, and all of that to set up your email integration. We have a nice little short video that'll be on the website soon that demonstrates that very nicely in a couple minutes. So that's email integration. So this is an IMAP integration. You can do an IMAP integration or a POP integration. And the difference is that an IMAP is synced. So every device that's IMAPed they're all connected. So if I delete an email from here, it will delete it from all the other devices that are IMAP integrated with my server. If I do a POP integration, that's a download. So it actually creates a copy and has it on my, and it's stored here. So if it's deleted somewhere else, it's always going to be in CRM. Okay. So I think that's all I want to talk about for that. While I'm in here, kind of going a little outside topic, but I want to show you also that when you do email integration, each user can set up their own email integration, and it's based on and you can basically choose one email if you're doing IMAP. If you want to have other emails available to you to do mass emailing or mostly that's what people use it for, or to actually, to be able to send an email notification out through workflow, and you want it to come from a general email address versus a specific user, then you can add an organization email. And so if you want it to come, again, like info@marksgrouplive.net or .com, if you want it to come from more generic, then you just set it up and add it here. Cancel. There's also the BCC Dropbox in here. Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I just that's new, and we'll talk about that in a second. That email authentication. I'm glad they added that. So the BCC Dropbox is basically, you can blind carbon copy, or BCC, when you're sending emails, and copy this email address into the BCC line. And that's another way that you can send and get emails into your into the system. So, and again, so if you're emailing a lead or a contact, and you don't have your email IMAPed or popped, or you don't have the Outlook plugin, this is a way you can very selectively choose what emails you want to have ported into your Zoho CRM account, and have a record of it in the account. It's very manual. Again, you have to copy and paste that address into into the BCC line for each email that you want to have included. And it will, when it comes into the system, it'll just get binned into that email bin for the particular leader contact. Okay, that's it for BCC. So email authentication. Now, this is something that they've had up at Campaigns for quite some time, and they've just now moved it down into Zoho CRM. So you might have noticed that sometimes when you're sending emails from CRM, that they might end up in your recipient's spam folders. So by going through these steps and doing this email authentication, you can improve the deliverability of your emails. So let's pop that open. So I'm going to do and show you what that looks like. Okay, so it's a couple step process. Sorry, again, as I mentioned, this is the first time I'm seeing this, so it's a little different than the way it's set up in campaigns. So we can verify. The first step is to verify that it's a valid email address. So they've sent a code to that email address, and we would enter that code here to verify it. And then the next step is to set up your SPF and DKIM records where your domain is hosted. So this is a little more technical. You need to have access to, again, where the domain is hosted and be able to go in and update these settings for the domain. And once you have that, once you have those in, and they have little copy icons where you can copy the text, and you go into the domain hosting area and update those records, and then click, once you've done that, then you come back in here and you click validate record. Sometimes it might take a little while to propagate. That they say 24 to 48 hours. It's usually a lot faster than that. But if it doesn't validate right away, don't despair. Try it again in a couple hours and see if you can get it to validate. And that should greatly improve the deliverability. And it basically is authorizing Zoho to send emails on your behalf right from the source. Okay, cancel that. Let me see, anything. Yeah, these are just email sharing permissions. Okay, so that's email integration. So we looked at integrating your main email, and then adding organization emails, and then authenticating from a domain level. Okay, so let's look at the telephone. So this used to be called, Phone Bridge. It still is. So what you can do is, and it tells you everything right in here. So it automates your call logging, and you can get reports and things like that. And you can basically call right from Zoho CRM, and by clicking on the number, and it looks like it's coming from your phone number when they receive it. So that's what this is talking about, single click dialing. So you can just click right there and it's a call, and it'll call it. It also prompts you for if you have a call scheduled, you'll get this little pop-up, and it'll say it's time to call for that schedule, and then you just click call, and off it goes. Okay, and then the call logging, once doesn't have a picture of it, that's what I was looking for. Once you completed your call, you'll get a pop-up similar looking like this, and it'll say, do you want to log this call? And you can say yes, and then you can enter in notes and any other information. So it's a nice little integration. And if it again, if you have a PBX phone system, so I'm going to click that, and it's going to give me my list. Yeah, here we go. So now I'm in the Phone Bridge Marketplace, and it's showing me all the different PBX systems that it connects with. So you can look through those. You can also, there's a search. So if you have a particular provider that you work with, you can search and see if there is an integration already. There's more popping in here all the time. I haven't been in here in a while, and there's a ton more. So again, if you're not seeing it immediately, keep checking back to see if it's been added. Yeah, they must have added at least 20 since the last time I looked in here. So there's new tiles popping in every day for different phone systems. And you can also send Zoho a request. So if you don't see yours, you don't have to necessarily sit back and wait. You can actually request for them to add it, and that could bump it up in the priority and get it there faster, because I think that they are responding to demand. So when there are PBX systems that are in high demand, they're going to bump those up to the top of the roadmap. Okay, let's see. So that is the phone bridge. You can also integrate social media. Okay, so this is. Oh, okay. So this is coming up because our training account is Zoho One, and so we have all the apps available to us, and we have social in there as well. And it looks like somebody was experimenting and just setting up brands. So let's just import that, because it's not very exciting to have a new brand. Oops. Okay. So then once I have a brand, then I can connect that with any of my social media. So again, I would add an account here. That would be my Twitter account, my Facebook account, my Google account. And we don't have any of those set up in our training system at this point. But so that's how you would move forward with that. And let's look at admin settings. So this is basically all permissions. Just granting permissions to the various profiles that you have available. And then automate lead generation. So this is a way that you can set up where if things are happening, what they're defining as social activities. So if somebody likes something, if somebody mentions something, if they retweet something, you can actually use that action as a trigger and bring them into your CRM as a lead to follow up with. Okay, so all of these are blank because I don't have any social media configured in this account. But basically, you can see, if I had a Twitter account, and then I basically click on this, and it would say if someone, and it's just all the different triggers that are available in Twitter. And so it's kind of similar to workflow, where you set up if someone does whatever the defined action is, then you have the system do something in response. Okay, so that's social. Chat is that. Okay. So this is actually the Sales IQ. So if any of you have not explored Sales IQ yet, it's a great little application that allows you, with very little setup, and it walks you through it, to basically put a chat widget on your site and to be able to track visitors on your site. So you can see in real time who people on your site, and you can proactively engage them in chat, or again, wait for them to try to chat with you. So this is just that configuration. And I want to talk a little bit about portals, because we have about 10 minutes left. So let's talk a little bit about portals. So a portal is another kind of extension or plugin that's kind of built into CRM. And it's a way that you can provide access to your system to your users, or I'm sorry, not to your users, to your contacts. So so that they can log in and view or make changes, whatever you give them permission to do, to your system. And you can restrict, so let's pop this open. So this particular portal currently is set up where the contact can create, edit, and view their own contact record. They can view their quotes, they can view their invoices, and they can view their notes, which might not be a good thing depending on what kind of notes you're putting in there. Just a little FYI. And then if we can look at editing that. So here's the 3 modules they have access to. And then within each module, I can further restrict exactly what fields they can see, not see, or edit. So you can really get down to very detailed configuration for your portal for exactly what you want your invited contacts to do. So once once you get it all set up, then you can invite them. You can invite your contacts to your portal. So I'm just gonna hit finish on that. And then if I come into a contact record, I have a send portal invitation option over here. So that's how you would invite somebody to your portal. So again, if you want your users to be able to log in and manage their own contact data, if they have an address change or they have their phone number changes or something like that, that they'll be able to proactively go in and update that information for you. And again, if they want to be able to log in and view their outstanding invoices or the estimates that you've sent them, it supports that as well. Okay. Let me go back to the setup and just see if there's anything else on this topic that I can share with you. Or again, if there's any questions, please feel free to enter a question into the chat window. So honestly, that's really it. So again, in summary, we started here in the marketplace, and the all view is what gives me, all of them. I get my features across the top, and I've got my filtering and my search options to find what I'm looking for. Then I can look at specifically Zoho, specifically Google, or specifically Microsoft. And Microsoft is where that Outlook plugin is. Google is where I can integrate my Google Calendar, my Google AdWords, my Google Contacts, and that's where you can also find that Chrome extension for Gmail. For actual Gmail integration, you would want to go under this email channels and set up an IMAP to integrate your Gmail. But this Google is more about your contacts, your calendar, and that Chrome extension for Gmail. Okay. So this is one of those great days where the professor actually finishes early and you get to leave class early. This is a wonderful thing. Okay. So in closing, which is kind of already did, so I don't want to belabor the point, but so again, we talked all about extensions and plugins and things that you can do to enhance the functionality of your CRM account. So we went to the marketplace, we looked at channels, we talked about how we can extend Zoho with third-party apps, connecting them to third-party apps, connecting them to the telephone system, connecting them to a texting system, and how to integrate our email, both directly through an IMAP or POP3 integration or using the Outlook plugin that's available in the marketplace. So that's really all I have today on extensions and plugins. So I'm going to let you go early and get the Teacher of the Year award. And again, if you have any questions on this, even if you're watching this recording, after the fact, you're not watching it live, you can always send an email to the email address that's on your screen right now, support@marksgrouplive.com, if you have any questions about what you've seen in this video. All right, well, that's all for me today. This is Suzanne signing out, and hope you have a great day.